What to test? It's a big question if you are upgrading a platform or releasing weekly or daily local changes. To ensure high-quality releases, it's important to be aware of what is impacted and what to test. In this session, we'll explore examples of change impact analysis for Salesforce platform updates, as well as local changes to an SAP environment. 3 major updates to the Salesforce platform happen every year, in winter, spring, and summer. They affect everyone, especially if you have mobile apps built on the platform. LiveCompare Smart Impact for Salesforce is simple to run. The first step is to connect to the current production Salesforce org platform and collect object dependency links. Next, we perform the same tasks for your updated sandbox. Now we're ready to run the app. Select your current and updated org platforms, your usage driver in production, and your integrated test repository, and run the app. LiveCompare identifies all of the development objects that are changed or missing in the upgraded sandbox, then examines their relationship to all of the used objects at the testable surface area. It then searches Tosca and Qtest for test cases that include the most at-risk objects. The dashboard displays used, impacted, and most at-risk objects, as well as a test coverage summary for the most at-risk. Test coverage details include test name, test path, and they're ranked by high, medium, and low, helping you run the best test first. Be sure to run LiveCompare for your next Salesforce update. In the second half of this demo, let me show you how LiveCompare supports local SAP changes, including daily and weekly releases, as well as emergency fixes. Here's a high-level example of a weekly change management process. Let's say a request is received on Monday. It's assigned to a developer, and change is committed to development. Unit tests and quality checks are then performed, and follow-up development is completed if necessary. The change is then released to QA for regression and user acceptance testing. Upon successful test execution, the change is then released to production. In this scenario, LiveCompare is executed twice. The first run is initiated automatically when the task is committed or released into development. There are 4 good reasons for this initial run. It lists what has changed and how, identifies the scope of impact to production, it automatically runs the SAP framework unit tests, and highlights any quality issues. The second run of impact analysis happens automatically when the change is released to QA. The focus here is to support user acceptance testing, identifying most at-risk SAP executables, reducing risk by identifying everything that's impacted, and determining test coverage of your most at-risk SAP executables. Let's have a closer look at these 2 impact analysis reports. LiveCompare has detected an SAP transport task has been released in development. The task contains 3 programs in the class. To see how these objects have changed, simply click on the name. Column F indicates the scope of impact to our used executables in production. The changing class impacts transaction code ZVA91, Sales Calculator. It's used in production 139 times by 5 different accounts. SAP Framework unit tests were automatically executed for the 3 programs. 1 passed, but 2 failed. All of the components that make up the program are analyzed. Some components have no errors. Others have failures and exceptions. Detecting code quality issues early in the development lifecycle gives you the opportunity to address them, where it's the absolute cheapest compared to QA or production detection. Once all issues are addressed and successful unit test is complete, it's now time to release the change to QA. And that's when the second automated run of impact analysis happens. The report shows that sales transaction code VA02 is most at risk, and there are 2 impactful objects. The transport includes a function and a structure, and you can click on the object names to see exactly how they changed. This function module specifically impacts 2 screens, which can be used to further filter down your Tosca test cases, just focusing on the modules that use screens 0101 and 0107. There are 10 users who use the VA01 most at-risk transaction code. There are 4 tests related to the transaction. The report includes the test ID, test name, test path, and has data. So if this was an actual data change instead of a code change, like a configuration change, you can further filter down your results to just the tests that interact with the transaction that's most at risk and that uses that specific configuration data. So whether you're upgrading or modifying Salesforce or SAP, LiveCompare answers the question, what to test, and supports you on your journey in accelerating high-quality releases.